Hey you, welcome back to the deep dive. So glad you're here. If you're, really serious about nailing that postgraduate entrance exam and boosting your English vocab, well, you're definitely in the right place.
Absolutely.
Today, we're digging into your Day 34 Part 2 study materials.
Yeah, some really key stuff in this section.
Totally. And our goal really isn't just about memorizing words. It's about understanding how they actually work, especially in those academic texts you'll be reading.
Exactly. It's about context, nuance, seeing the connections, not just isolated words on a list.
Right. It's like building that mental map you mentioned. So today we've got quite a lineup. We'll try to untangle some tricky ones like resume, presume, and assume.
And those are good ones, often confused.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Then we'll dip into some finance language, look at the whole erupt family, which is quite interesting.
Very dynamic words there.
And finally, navigate some of those essential interwords. You ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, first up, resume. Now this one's a bit tricky because it has two main jobs, right?
It does. You've got the verb first, meaning to continue something after a pause or interruption.
Like in that example sentence, she resumed her career after an interval of 6 years. So there was a gap, and then she started again.
Precisely. The core idea is that interruption followed by picking things back up. Or look at the other one. There is no sign of the peace talks resuming. There's a hope for continuation, but it hasn't happened. It implies that stop.
Right, restarting something that was already going. But then there's the noun, resume.
Yes, the noun. Your CV, basically. That summary of your experience you send out, very different meaning.
Very different. Okay, so keeping those two separate, let's look at presume. How does that differ from just, assuming something?
Well, presume, I think, often carries a bit more weight. It might be based on probability or like an accepted rule or principle. Think about law.
Oh, right, like presumed innocent until proved guilty?
Exactly. That's a foundational principle. It's the starting point. You need evidence to change it. So it's not just a random guess. It's an assumption based on a framework.
So it's like a default assumption based on rules or common understanding. Like the other example, I presumed that he understood the rules. It suggests, it was reasonable to think that.
Yeah, reasonable expectation is a good way to put it. You think it's likely, but you know it might not be true. Now, assume. That feels a bit broader, doesn't it?
Yeah, assume to me feels more like just taking something for granted, maybe
Yeah.
not even thinking too hard about it. Like, I assume you've got a big plan then. It's just a guess, maybe based on knowing the person.
It can be more informal, just taking something as a given. And the noun assumption is really important, especially in academic work.
Right, like they are based on wrong assumptions. Shows how those things we take for granted can lead us astray.
Absolutely. In research, you really have to be clear about your assumptions. Unstated assumptions can totally undermine an argument. So presume often signals maybe a starting hypothesis based on norms, while assume can be that more general taking for granted.
That's a super helpful distinction, especially for reading critically. Okay, let's shift to consume. This seems like a word that covers a lot of ground.
It really does. At its core, it's about using something up, expending it. So when we talk about food, like consume the right kind of food at breakfast, it means eating, using that energy.
Okay, simple enough. Eating, drinking.
But then you have the economic sense, like they use their money reserves to back up consumption. Here, consumption is the bigger picture, using goods, services, resources.
So it's the act of using, whether it's food or like electricity or money, and the person doing it is the consumer.
Exactly. Covers a wide range.
Okay. Let's switch gears now into finance territory. First word, premium. What's the core idea here?
Premium, think of it as paying extra for something perceived as better or more secure.
Like paying more for a better seat on a plane.
Kind of, yeah. Or the example given. He was willing to pay a premium for a house near the sea. The location adds value, so he pays more.
Got it. And insurance premiums.
Same idea. You pay that regular extra amount, the premium, for the financial security the insurance provides. And you also see premium as an adjective, meaning like high quality or high priced. Premium goods.
Okay, so paying extra for added benefit or reduced risk makes sense. Now, stock. This one also has that dual meaning problem, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Context is everything here.
Oh.
So in business, stock can be your inventory, the actual goods you have ready to sell.
Like, we can supply the table from stock, meaning we have it right here in the warehouse.
Precisely. But then, probably more commonly in the news and for your exam, stock means shares in a company. ownership.
Right. And that ties into the exam question example. The likelihood of being named in a federal class action lawsuit also increases, and the stock is likely to perform worse.
Exactly. Here, stock is clearly the company's shares. Bad news, like a big lawsuit, makes investors nervous. They might sell their stock.
Which drives the price down, so the stock performs worse.
Correct. The perceived value of the company drops. So you need to be able to tell from context if it's inventory or shares.
Okay, got it. 2 key meanings for stock. Now let's move into that erupt family. Starting with bankrupt. Sounds pretty final.
It generally is, legally speaking. To be bankrupt means a court has declared you unable to pay your debts. It's a formal status.
Like the examples. The company was declared bankrupt. Or large numbers of builders have gone bankrupt. It signifies like total financial collapse for that entity.
It does. Serious consequences. And bankruptcy is the state or the legal process itself. You'll definitely see this when reading about economics or business failures.
Definitely a heavy word. Okay, next. Disrupt. This word is everywhere now, isn't it? Especially with tech.
Oh, absolutely. It's a buzzword, but an important one. To disrupt means to, well, disturb something, interrupt its normal course, often in a major way.
Like the example. The global economy continues to be disrupted by technology. It implies a big shakeup, not just a small interruption.
Exactly. It often suggests a fundamental change or challenge to the existing way of doing things. Think disruptive innovation. And disruption is that process or the state of being disrupted. It implies a significant shift.
So a force that really changes the game. Okay, then erupt. Volcanoes, right?
Yeah, that's the classic image. There are signs that the volcano will erupt again. A sudden, forceful bursting out.
But it's used more broadly, too.
Oh, yes. Metaphorically.
Yeah.
You could talk about laughter erupting in a room or anger erupting. It's that same idea of something breaking out suddenly, forcefully, often after being contained. And eruption is the noun.
Okay, that's sudden outburst.
Right.
Makes sense. Now, corrupt. This deals with dishonesty.
Yes, fundamentally, to corrupt someone or something is to make them dishonest, immoral, often by abusing power or trust. It can be a verb or an adjective.
Like overthrow a corrupt regime, meaning the government was deeply dishonest.
Precisely. And corruption is the noun, the practice or state of being corrupt. It's a huge issue in, politics, business, everywhere, really. Undermines the whole system.
A really damaging thing. Okay, next is rot. Not a pleasant word.
No, not really. Rot is basically decay, decomposition. Usually organic stuff. The wood must not get damp as rot can quickly result. That's literal decay.
But it's metaphorical, too.
Yep. You can talk about a situation rotting or something being left to rot, like the fruit example. It suggests neglect, deterioration, things going bad over time. And rotten is the adjective.
So physical decay, but also that sense of things falling apart or becoming bad? Okay. Then rotate. Sounds like turning.
It is, turning around a central point, like the blades of the fan rotated rapidly. Or it can mean taking turns in a set sequence.
Like the EU presidency rotates among the members, so it cycles through them.
Exactly. That cyclical movement or ordered change, rotation, is the noun. You see it in science, politics, agriculture.
Right, crop rotation. Okay. Last one in this group, bribe. This is about illegal influence.
Yes. A bribe is money or a favor given improperly to influence someone's decision or action, usually someone in authority.
Like trying to bribe the policeman not to arrest him, or the allegation that someone had taken bribes. It's clearly unethical, illegal.
Definitely. Both the act of offering or giving, verb, and the thing offered, noun, always carries that negative, unethical meaning.
Okay, a clear case of corruption, really. Right, let's do one last sprint. Words starting with These often suggest something happening between or among things. First, interrupt.
Interrupt. To break the continuity of something. Stop it temporarily, like the hurricane interrupting mail delivery.
After Hurricane Katrina interrupted routine delivery, so a temporary halt, or like someone cutting you off when you're speaking.
Yes, his sudden interruption makes me feel outraged. That breaking in, interruption is the noun form, a temporary stop or break.
Got it. Now, interfere. This one usually sounds negative, doesn't it?
It often does, yeah. Interfere usually means getting involved in something where you're not wanted, meddling.
Like the example, I wish my mother would stop interfering. That sense of unwanted involvement.
Exactly. Or the police are very unwilling to interfere in family problems. It implies crossing a boundary in an unwelcome or unhelpful way.
Okay, so unwanted meddling. Now, intervene. This sounds similar to interfere. What's the difference?
It's a subtle but important difference. Intervene also means to step in, but often it's done with the intention of helping or improving a situation or mediating.
Ah, okay, so more purposeful.
Often, yes. Think, they have ways to intervene in people's aging process that implies a deliberate action, potentially beneficial. Or she went over to intervene between the two men, trying to stop a fight, mediate.
So interfere is more like unwanted meddling, while intervene can be a more deliberate, sometimes helpful, stepping in.
That's a good way to think about it generally. The intention often differs.
That's really useful. Okay, next, interval.
An interval is simply a gap in time between things, a pause, a break.
Like an interval of 20 minutes after the second act at a play.
Exactly. Or the phrase at intervals. The runners started at 5-minute intervals, meaning with a 5-minute gap between each one, spacing in time.
Clear. Okay, interact. This seems to be about connection.
It is. It's about acting mutually, affecting each other. Communication, working together. He interacts very well with other children. That's social interaction.
And it can be non-human, too, like the perfume example.
Right. Perfume interacts with the skin's natural chemicals. There's a mutual influence, a reaction between them. The key is that two-way action or effect.
Okay, mutual influence. Now interpret. Making sense of things.
Yes, exactly. Explaining meaning, translating, or simply understanding something in a particular way. Crucially, interpretation can vary.
Like, the data can be interpreted in many different ways, so it's not always objective.
Often not. Or, I didn't know whether to interpret her silence as acceptance or refusal. There's ambiguity that requires interpretation. And an interpreter, of course, translates speech. It's fundamental to academic work interpreting texts, data, evidence.
Right, making meaning, which can be complex. Okay, interview, something many postgrad applicants face.
Absolutely. An interview is that formal meeting, usually question and answer, for selection, research, journalism.
Like in the materials example, almost everyone who was interviewed for the special report said gathering information from people.
Precisely. And you have the interviewer asking and the interviewee answering, a key process.
Definitely. Okay, last one. Journal. This word has a couple of important meanings.
It does. It can be your personal diary, right?
Yeah.
He kept a journal of his travels, recording thoughts, experiences.
Private writing.
But crucially for you, in academia, a journal is a scholarly publication, like Nature or The Lancet, peer-reviewed articles reporting research.
Ah, the academic journal. Very different from a diary.
Very different. And then a journalist works for news outlets writing articles, but that's distinct from the academic journal sense. So context, again, is key.
Wow, quite a range for journal. Okay, well, that's a lot of ground we've covered. We really dove into those keywords from day 24, part 2.
We did. We looked at those confusing pairs like assume, presume, the finance terms, the whole LUPT idea, and those interwords.
And the big takeaway, as always, isn't just the definition, right? It's seeing how these words work in context, especially those academic contexts you'll be facing.
Exactly. Understanding the nuances, the connections, that's what builds real reading comprehension, not just memorizing lists. It helps you engage with complex texts more effectively.
Totally. So as you go back to your study materials, really think about these nuances. Look at how they're used in the examples. Try to recall other places you've seen them.
And maybe consider this as you study. In what areas, perhaps current events or your specific field of interest, is the concept of disruption really relevant right now? How is it changing things?
Ooh, good question. Or think about how understanding the subtle difference between interfere and intervene might change how you analyze, say, a historical event or even just a difficult conversation.
Precisely. Those little distinctions can make a big difference in your understanding.
Absolutely. Well, we hope this deep dive was valuable for you. If it was, please do give us a like, maybe a follow, and share it with anyone else on that postgraduate journey. It really helps us out.
It does indeed. Keep exploring those words.
Until next time, keep learning.